Command, Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. Hello, Kim. Happy Monday.
Oh, is it happy? It's actually a very happy Monday.
Yes.
I shouldn't say
busy.
that. The rest is just all noise, in the grand scheme of everything that's going on here. So yeah, let's give you a little update. So last when we talked about the fact that I had missing documents.
That's right.
And I had to go chase them down. So it turns out the Jason Society, particularly the ones that have decided to set up shop in Alabama, were the ones that stole the documents. There was a meeting that happened late at night, and they stole the documents. So when they stole the documents, they started acting as if they had a person. They had nominated a person who was going to act on behalf of the one who was intended to receive them. I'm going to leave this person's name quiet for the moment. So he did. He started making phone calls, not only in the United States, but all over the world, pretending he was this person.
Okay.
So the troops that were in the U.S. and in Canada were also ordered by this person, because this person is listed as GIA for a specific area, and they took it for all it was. They started dialing like crazy. They called Russia, they called Ukraine, they called, and they started making moves, which are things this person, the actual real person, would have never done.
Right.
And so tracing through all the phone calls, had led to a huge mess. I mean, we really had troops moving all over the place. So the Pentagon calls and asks what the heck is going on, because they didn't order it. They have no idea who ordered the troops. Now, technically, we do have the GIA, actually, at the moment, has the right to do something like that, and they do have to move.
Right.
But that's not something we would ever do unless there was an actual physical threat in a particular area, and highly doubtful said threat would get past the key intelligence and military system and our own troops. Right. That there is a scare tactic for citizens. It has nothing to do with a real threat. That's not a thing. But they took it for all it was worth until they were found out. Is this person still alive and kicking? I don't know, at this moment. But it probably won't be long after that fiasco. The next thing they did, they decided this document worked so well, let us get a hold of more documents. So they actually broke into the archivist office and started printing copies of documents. I have no idea how many they printed. The conversation with the archivist office wasn't long this morning. They were very busy. They had then figured out it was late at night on, I think, Saturday night, where they had broke in. But the archivists have a very special system, and it's kind of like a secret code that is between themselves. So every document has numbers hidden in it, watermarks, and special things. Even if you're using their printer, it prints numbers with every time there's a copy of something printed and to where it went. And then there's this whole system of actual ratification that happens where, they might put in the information, the information comes down from the Hall of Records, they'll enter the information, catalog it, but they do it in like a certain sequence, like it has to be done within a second or 2 seconds or 30 seconds, or maybe some you have to wait 3 minutes, like you don't know. And it's all a system that they've developed internally. So they knew by Sunday morning that everything had been tampered with, because no official person that works there would have actually done that. So this, of course, as well, was the Jason Society.
Wow.
Fake documents, fake, they intended to create the fake GIA everywhere. But see, they're not very good at what they do. They really, really are not. They should actually get a job at maybe like Walmart or something like that, maybe, in the checkout, or the greeter. The greeter doesn't even have to work a computer at all.
Yeah, or they could check receipts at the end, when you leave,
Yeah, that's the greeter. They greet you when you come in and greet you when you leave, check the receipts, the whole thing. That would be a good job for these people if they remain, upright for much longer. Because we have this thing that's called the key intelligence and military system, in which people are actually ratified in that system, and you can see it in the system, and everybody can see it within the system. Pictures of people are in that system. There's all kinds of things in there, which every military in the world has access to, and every intelligence agency in the world has access to. So this is not an operation where we run around like the Three Stooges on a bad day, drunk. We don't do that. We're very precise in everything we do. So this really didn't last that long, and given the fact this person's superior was with them all weekend and whatnot, everybody knew it wasn't him. But the problem is there's a cleanup that has to happen, in all of the places that were contacted, and we're in the middle of doing that now. Next, the Jason Society, again, Moe, Larry, and Curly. Moe, Larry, and Curly at the Jason Society decided they were going to perpetuate a lie, and they spread it globally. Because remember, they stole the documents on Friday, Thursday night, local time there. So they decided to perpetuate this lie all throughout the world. And they started saying that Kim, and they said my name, of course, is a hacker. And she is hacking. And that martial law is not real, and the bankruptcy is not real, and all of that. But then how do you justify the following things? Number one, hackers typically steal your money, steal your identity, steal your information.
Yeah.
I have never yet met a hacker that has deposited money in your account.
Yeah, that's not adding up.
That didn't quite add up. Okay, so that's the first thing that's a little striking. The second thing is all my documents are legally ratified with the appropriate coding and the appropriate watermarks and timestamps and all the other things that go along with it. I'm going to leave it at that because I'm not going to help them.
Right.
Maybe I should help them because they create such a lovely image of themselves in the eyes of their comrades, at this point. Okay, so that's the first thing. So mine all actually are official documents. They were delivered through the official channels in the official way, not through things that go bump in the night. They actually came from people whose job it is to do this type of thing, and so on and so forth. Did they create a mess that lasted about 24 hours? Yeah. Congratulations, you did. And there's a reason why they did that. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But unless, like, how they say in that there's a show out, orange is the new black, pink is the new, they talk about it in fashion. So in this term, it would be like what? The hackers of 2023 are like the Robin Hoods, or, I don't know what we are,
Oh, yeah.
But the system is owned and controlled by me.
Yeah.
100% has been. Now the front end is even more under our control. So that being said, I did nothing illegal by going into my own system that I built, owned, and created.
Yeah.
Do you see? Like, that's stupid. And then if I was going to hack, I try to be like, see, when they hack, and hack they have over the weekend, or attempt to anyway, which we have prevented. See, they must have me confused with something that they're doing. So they probably put this lie out on Friday night because they had big plans for Saturday. And they figured that every time they hacked, and if they were successful, that they would then pin it on me, just like they tried to do with the fake person, that they created that worked for the GIA. Right. So it's all about discrediting me. This is the plan, and they couldn't even get that right, unfortunately. And to my credit, I've done a lot of I've been doing this job for a while, and I kind of learned that one like a long time ago. Long time ago. And I know exactly how to fix it because I had to fix it the last time, and in reality, at the time that some of this stuff was going on, I was running up against, like, for example, Bush Sr. Now, Bush Sr., admittedly, evil, but he actually did a bang up job at running operations. I'll give him that. I'll be him Dr. Evil from time to time and place to place. And I'm sure this is not new information that's out there. But he was talented. So when you're running up against that and you're running counter ops against a person like that, you learn a lot.
It's good training. Yeah.
That's a good training. Your enemy is your greatest teacher. Mm-hmm. So now I'm running up against Mo, Larry, and Curly over here, and I'm not impressed in any way. Okay, so now why did the Jason Society decide to create this giant fiasco? On Saturday, there was a 5-planetary alignment. These particular planets and their particular megastructure moons, so to speak, we're all in alignment at it's about midday U.S. time on Saturday. Mm-hmm. This alignment of these particular planets in this particular order, in this particular structure, only happens once every about 200 years, give or take. Okay. So they figured that today is that day. Saturday was that day. And they were going to win the game. Now, the last time this happened, the world was a different place. Not only due to the work that we have been doing for the last several years, but also, like, Marduk was still alive, and, there was still somebody in that position. There were still portals to the Abraxas. They were still around. Everybody was still around when these things would happen. Now, I think they thought it's just like a spontaneous thing. If they align, then the thing happens. But they don't understand that there's always a bell ringer. There's the guy, Dr. Evil or whoever he is, or whatever name you want to call them, who rings the bell. There's somebody on the other side answering the phone. Now, with the absence of anything answering any phones on the other side, absolutely nothing happened. They went to Atlanta. We talked about the Manchurians in Atlanta and the portal and all that. And they were hacking at the banking system, trying to use some old cache, they are backup servers. They tried to reinstall the old HTML Internet Protocol. They were in many places around the world thinking this today was their day. Cheyenne is their good friend, and they're both on the same agenda. Well, not for much longer. They were both on the same agenda to whereby there were people that flew in here on Friday, actually during the news, when we were recording the news, and they were actually looking at some schematics and some drawings and some information that was old, a couple hundred years old, and they were also expecting this alignment to do something based on something that happened 200 years ago when it happened the last time. So they went all in. So they were going to hack. They thought they would be successful based on the alignment with Uranus, and Uranus is one of those planets. It was actually Earth, Neptune, Jupiter, Uranus, and Mercury.
Well, what
And
was it, Ken, that happened 200 years ago? Do you know what event got them all excited 200 years ago?
well, all I was really informed of is that we had a near disaster. And I'm not sure what that was, and I haven't really had time to go back and research it and look, but I can. I'll see if I can find more information on that for you. But I would say that whatever it was, had to do with, we have anti-Earth, we know this.
Mm-hmm.
We have anti-Neptune, we have anti-Jupiter, anti-Uranus, and anti-Mercury, because Mercury is kind of the sun's moon, so to speak. Now, each one of these planets here, so I can only surmise what would have happened, each one of these planets also has a megastructure moon. They may have other natural moons because they have more than one, just like we do. So those moons also, they took the real moon, and the real moon goes down to the anti-planet, and the megastructure is inserted at that same time. There's a connection between the anti-moon, so to speak, and the moon that is on this side, and they're usually connected with a crystal, a special material of sorts, and there is usually a signal that would then go to the space stations, the 24 space stations that are around Earth. So the moon is one of those space stations, and then there's other satellites that are around Earth, and then those used to be used by the other side. People like Marduk and Anu and would use these space stations. So I'm assuming, based on this construct, that maybe it would have unleashed parasites, it would have unleashed a lot of different stuff on humanity. It could have made us all sick. They really spent a lot of time trying to hack into the Internet of Body Things this weekend. That was on the list for the British and also the Americans. So I'm guessing it probably had something to do with that. Maybe they thought they would get real archons back. Not really sure. Maybe they thought it would knock our moon out or something, or pull it into Earth. And then we would have had a situation. But there wasn't enough of any of that construct left to do anything. So I couldn't really, you take a step back and you look at what's happening and you can surmise what could have happened had it not been. But we've been working on this stuff for a long time now. I mean, and even then it would have required someone to push the button.
Yep.
And it's not a button that they would have had access to.
And that's just for control, Kim, right? That's why, I mean, Marduk had to have all of that control. And so that's why it would, nothing would automatically happen. It's still.
No, they just thought they were blessed by Satan or something, at that time. These people are self-entitled and they always think these sorts of things. It's just what they do. So they automatically assumed that whatever was going to happen, or they thought based on their astrological alignments and calculations, that it would have happened precisely at a certain time on Saturday, and they would be in like Flynn, and then I would go to jail and be blamed for stealing everybody's money and causing a run on the banks, which was their plan.
Wow.
They were going to take all the money, cause a run on the banks. Hence the reason why they ordered the movement of troops, because they expected total looting and chaos in every U.S. city and in Canada. Well, nothing actually happened. They got nowhere. But something, actually did happen, but not for them, but for us. Something really important happened for us. So I've been talking a lot about the cleaning and the clearing and the crystals and the portals and all of these things that have to be cleared from Earth in order to restore the planet and in order to shut down Earth as a gateway planet. And then we just become a connecting planet to source. And that's it. Yeah. As all planets should be. Mm-hmm. So we won't have that anti-source or the omega anymore in its creations, its created parties. So the fight that I started talking about last week between the Merovingians and the Melchizedeks, this is where the fight really was. So they wanted us to, they were in an alliance and in allegiance to the lower astral. So they basically wanted to pull this planet down there, and then they would have full control over the gateways. They would shut down all the light portals, and there's the end. Wow. That's the hope. On our side of it, we intend to, where the Melchizedek side, I wish I could talk. I need to improve my English. On the Melchizedek side, we have been fighting against that. So we're trying to close the doors to down there. Right. And open the doors to heaven, so to speak, and all of the gateways to the upper astral planets, and then get rid of that down there. Right. Well, truly, we are both fighting. You could call us the fallen angels versus the angels, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And we have been fighting this war for eons. It's very old. So just because there's humans walking around, and there's probably about 5,000 of us left on the planet who are fighting this war at this time, that doesn't mean that, we are fighting on behalf of the light. That's our job. Mm-hmm. And they, or the fallen angels, are fighting on behalf of the dark.
How many are on the fallen side, Kim?
More than us. Remaining at this time, I'd probably say maybe 800,000.
Holy cow, that's not I was going to say it's not a fair fight, but the light can bring so much more.
Well, we can do a lot of things that they can't do.
Exactly.
And remember, we're on the side of, how do I say this? The boss over here on this side is the one that created their boss in the first place.
Exactly.
So he could give it and he could take it at any time.
Giveth and he taketh away, Kim.
That's right. The Lord giveth and he taketh away. So they don't really understand that concept in totality. Their master, so to speak, is in their world the all-powerful giver of everything. On our side of it, we look at things a whole different way. I know, that how everything, the universe was created, so to speak, and I know how it can change. And that GOLD agreement, the Giver of Life Declaration, that happened back in January is, let's just say, Source's way of saying, okay, remember, he handed us the keys to the kingdom and said, have fun?
Yeah.
What that means is we tip the tables towards our side, even though we have less people, we began to win.
Yep.
And it was evident of the outcome. And so which universe was going to be destroyed? That was the question. And this is what everyone everywhere was concerned about. Mm-hmm. If the gateway planet goes down, then everybody's going to have a different boss, so to speak.
Wow.
If the gateway planet goes up, then everybody has a different boss, so to speak. Yeah. Exactly. So that is a huge That is the basis for the war that we've been fighting. On I don't know what you want to say, the level of people talking about the cabal. That's the
Merovingian?
I'll forget it. Yeah, you say it.
I think
versus
right.
the Melchizedeks. That's what it is.
Okay.
They just don't recognize us as important people, and they usually kill our people. They usually cause enough damage using parasites and other things, and space stations that used to be in the megalostructure that aren't there anymore, and portals and portal people, so to speak, to control us. Put us in stasis. Well, we didn't technically kill them. They kind of just got drained.
Right.
Those types of things. And they've been doing this for a long, long time. And but we've always been here. We've always been here to some number or another. And, there's a part, I think it's I can't remember if it's in the Bible, but I know it's in the Torah, where he talks about the 36. As long as there's 36 here, he'll never destroy the planet. I think that's part of it's in the Torah. 36 of his here, he'll never destroy the planet. That means basically that we would never lose as long as there was at least that many people, that many of us walking.
It's an interesting number. I wonder if there's any meaning behind 36.
3 plus 6 is 9. I don't know. How many fell? How many are the true fallen ones? Not bloodlines of them, not the Luciferians, not those people. But this is why they do the crazy things they do. It's about darkening the soul. It's about becoming as dark as you can be. Be all you can be. Just and they have a lot of people that are not part of that. They try to turn the average everyday human, organic souls, which are still God's creation. They're just not the angels versus the demons, so to speak, game, angels versus the fallen angels. They're still organic humans. I mean, they're still wonderful people. There's nothing wrong with them. And they try to recruit them to their side and to work for the bad. Of the planet. They create the wars, they do all these types of things, and they really, they don't go through the rituals. They don't really know what all that's about. But this is the base root of the reasons why they do the things they do. But these guys are, they're just men and women. That's it. Yeah. They probably patriots. They probably love their respective countries. And they just want to do something good, make a change, make some money at it, and all is right with the world. And, thus far, the only people that had any kind of significant money in this world were the ones that worked for the dark, because that's the way the world was ruled. And initially, to be fair, we were supposed to establish the balance. It's hard, though, when you've got a group of people that break the rules all the time. All the time. They don't have any rules. On our side of it, we have rules we have to follow. Unless we're given direct orders that this is okay, you can do this, which is against the norm, against the grain, which has happened from time to time. But as long as you've got permission, then you're good. So they did not have anything exciting happen this weekend for them. They have actually, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute, the higher ups in that line on their side have actually figured out the game is over, that the war has been won this weekend. I know. Now, are they going to stop?
We've been waiting.
No, they finally, light has dawned on Marblehead.
Yeah.
Yes. And once you understand the true game that I just explained to you, now I'm going to tell you more. about why they had an understanding of this. So I had a vision once, and this was probably 7, 8, 9 years ago or so. And I'm going to tell you about my vision, and it's very, very important to understand that this was the job. You know, this was the ultimate mission and the reason why, you know, what my job was to do. So the vision starts out, and this was, I was fully awake. This is not a dream. The vision starts out in the desert, and it starts out in the desert on the border. And I knew I was somewhere like right near Iran, Iraq, like on the border, like somewhere in that region. And I didn't really understand. I'm like, okay. And I'm wearing a white toga, kind of dress looking thing. And it's all torn. It's burnt. It's ripped up. And I'm carrying a stick. Now it's not a wooden stick. It's a metal stick of some sort. And I only found out later what it actually is. But it's a metal stick of some sort. And my job was to bang it into the ground and declare that this planet belonged to God. And I'm like, you know, source, light.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, okay. So I slammed the stick the first time and declared it. Then I slammed the stick the second time, and these treasure chests fell from the sky. And when they fell, they kind of opened, and inside, there weren't that many of them. There were these huge coins, and they had some writing on them. I didn't really understand what it was. But they were like the size of, you know, an American cheeseburger. I'm going to use American cheeseburgers because our cheeseburgers are bigger than anybody's cheeseburgers on the planet. So they were about that size. I know. We do it big. We go big or go home here in America. So they were about the size of a very large cheeseburger, and they fell out. So I was like, oh, okay. I said, maybe I'm supposed to do something. But I know he said 3 times, so I was going to do it 3 times. So then these, I call them the smoky, they're Tarzakians. They look like smoke, and they started swarming all around the treasure chests. So I did the 3rd slam, and I declared it the 3rd time in the vision. And so I slammed it the 3rd time, and I said, okay, so then it stuck in the ground on the 3rd time. And the light started shooting out of the stick.
Okay.
Well, I use stick, pole. I don't know. It's metal. So pole, stick. And the light started shooting out of the stick. And I was told to throw the coins into 7 different places in the world. So it was basically a coin for every continent. And then I kind of was down on my knees, and I was kind of eating something. I don't know what I was eating, bread, a sandwich, I'm not sure. And my toga then went from like cut and ripped up and all of that to white and clean. I know this is a really interesting story, so bear with me because I will get to the good part when we're done. And so then an interesting thing happened. So on the places that I threw the coins, light opened up also in those places. It was almost like opening up a manhole cover, so to speak, and then they expanded from there, and the entire world turned gold. In my dream, I was standing on gold. There was gold everywhere, or vision. And then the entire world turned green. And as the entire world turned green, I saw these big trees, and they had huge fruits, like enormous fruits, like bigger than the size of your head. They were just like, I got this sense of this lushness. You know, the planet was lush once again. And so then once the whole world turned green, I picked up the stick, and I started walking over the fields because it's no longer desert, it's fields.
Oh, yeah.
And then, and then I met an old friend who was a lion, and we knew each other. We recognized each other, and we had missed each other. It was like seeing an old friend again. And he smiled and he began to walk with me. So then I started to go to all these places in the world and to tell them what had happened. And that the world was once again going to be abundant and all of these things. And I was very excited about telling everybody. So at the end of the journey, I came back to the same place where I started after I told everybody what had happened. And I stood at the end of a long aisle. And at the end of the aisle, there was a temple there now where I was. And I still had my stick, except now I was wearing a very long kind of gown that had like a long train behind it. I wasn't getting married or anything, but it was kind of sort of that esque, sort of looking thing. And as I was walking down the aisle, there were people from all walks of life, all colors, all countries, all nationalities, all religions, lining on the aisle, and everybody was clapping all together. Everybody was together. And so I continued to walk down the aisle until I got to the temple where the two monks were guarding the door. And so then I walked in and I put the stick inside the box that was in there and covered up the box. And that was the end of the vision.
Okay.
And that was all I got. So I'm like, okay, so that's the job. Okay, I understand. Now, what does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
And are we there yet? Well, truth of the matter is that this place does exist.
Really?
Yes. So as we were cleaning and clearing and doing a lot of other things this weekend, it was time to, I guess you would say, plant the proverbial stick into the ground. It was time to make those declarations. And of course, this had to be done in cooperation with Source itself. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yep.
So this place is actually in Iraq. It's called the Marshlands. In Iraq, it's right on the border of Iran and Iraq, and it's marshes. It used to be much larger, as you can see on the map that we're looking at. The gray areas are where it used to be fully wet, and the green area is where it still exists to this day as a marsh. Underneath this marsh, so to speak, is a giant mountain of gold.
Wow.
And hidden in that mountain of gold is Source itself. Now, that's not heaven. It's not the only place that Source exists, but it's absolute 100% pure essence, like a piece of God or Source, our creator on this planet, inside that gold. Now, the gold itself had been covered up with dark overlays and lots of different things so that Source light couldn't spread for a long, long time. Several months back, we talked about the dark essence that was around all the gold veins that was tied to the moon and Lilith, and a lot of things had taken place. So we had cleaned up the planet enough to begin to open that up again. And there's a specific process that begins to happen. Now, there's Saddam Hussein, actually, during the war many years ago, he actually tried to drain the marshlands. Now, the reason why he tried to do that actually had to do with the fact that what is on top of this mountain of gold that exists there, it isn't, even the dark essence and everything wasn't strong enough to affect that area. But it was closing fast, as you can see. Now, the water in the marshes has always been living water.
Wow.
So it is source charged water. It is positively charged water. This is the source of life, so to speak. This is the water that we all need. And I'll explain why in just a few minutes. So this water here, once this opens, and it did this weekend, yesterday morning, once it opens like that, then all of Earth's veins of gold start to fill with that source essence. The next thing it does is it charges the water on planet Earth.
All water?
All water. What I mean by all water, and this is a really cool part, is that it's the water, it's the seas, it's the oceans, it's the water in your body, it's the water in our plants, it's the water in everything. You know, you ever wonder why we have so much water in all organic life? It basically is the positively charged water that negates cellular degeneration.
Oh my gosh.
So right now we've had negatively charged water all over the planet. And that's the reason why they do the ionic water and you have those plasma chargers in the water, but we don't need that anymore. Because it'll take time, don't get me wrong, for this to completely unfold throughout the world. And it also depends on, you know, how much degeneration or how much damage is already, you know, had to your body as to how long it takes to recover, number one. And number two, it also depends on what you're doing on a daily basis. So, you know, for example, if you have stomach problems, and you know you're not supposed to eat this, and this, you know, or it causes you major stomach problems. Well, if one's trying to fix you and you're continuously breaking yourself, you know, then it kind of like, it'll take longer, those types of things. But over time, and within probably 7 to 10 years, it will actually turn the deserts green.
Oh my goodness.
Right. So this location here is also the original site of the Garden of Eden.
What?
I know.
Oh, the marshlands, all of that area?
Yes.
The original. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm. That is the original Garden of Eden right there.
And that makes so much sense because it was so close to source.
Yes.
Oh.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So this is very, very exciting news for us and really, really bad news for the Merovingian group, because they actually know that it is over, that there's no going back. Once that opens, that's like the end of the beginning of the end for them, so to speak. Either they die off, they will not have that power ever again on this planet.
Wow.
So that is the official end, so to speak, of the war.
How many people do you think knew that that was in existence? You mentioned Saddam Hussein and him trying to drain the area.
Yes, because it has living water. It still had some living water left there. Then they made a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Of course they did. And then, exactly, then no one could go there and no one could live there and whatnot. And by draining the water, he thought that, these people aren't okay. Saddam Hussein, for those of you that don't know, his nickname was Sammy, as in Uncle Sam. He attended Yale University with Bush Sr., and they were good friends.
Oh, of course they were.
Of course they were. And he did not die the way everybody thinks he died on TV.
But he is dead. He's gone.
I'm pretty sure he is now, but I know that he was given kind of like the same special privileges as Hitler got. When Hitler allegedly committed suicide, and Saddam was allegedly hung, and all of those things really didn't happen. So that being said, this led us to a number of other events that have actually happened, and I'm going to have to kind of speed this up a little bit. So we told you about the money in the U.S. last week. The second place we actually transferred not the same amount. It's different in every country based on their gross domestic product and how much production can be created. And there's always more where that came from. So if there's not enough there and we run out and it's balanced and the currencies are they're backed by gold, and they are. Then we do a test transfer out of a few of that currency, and just to prove that it's real money and it's spendable money.
Yeah.
So the next place that we did over the weekend was South Africa. Mm-hmm. And then we went from South Africa, and the next day we did the transfer in Iraq. But I wanted to point out a few things about what people believe the Melchizedek line is. And I want to point that out, and I'm going to use Iraq to show you this. Okay. So the money shows up there, and everybody goes into a full-on panic. And they start calling their bosses and superiors. And for those of you that don't know, Saturday is a religious holiday in the Shia Muslim world. And so there's not, pretty much skeleton crew. You're not supposed to work, but they do keep people obviously in intelligence and in key areas throughout the country. So this money comes in, and everybody starts. It was the opposite of what I thought was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And everybody started looking at it, and then they called a group of people who are the guardians of a specific small walled city called Najaf. And I'm probably not using the proper accent, so I apologize to our Islamic people watching this. And it's in Iraq. I think we have a picture of it somewhere. We'll put it up if you want. But it is a place where they bury the holiest of the holy. So this would be like the line of Muhammad, Muhammad. And there are people there that are scholars, and they have ancient knowledge. For example, they know about this place. They have a lot of books. And so one of the books that they have is a copy. It's not the only one, but they do have a copy of these books, and they are enormous. They are like 3 feet long, probably 2 foot wide. They're huge, and they're made out of some kind of hide. They do look like ancient books, and they are well over 100,000 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And inside these books are pictures of the Melchizedeks throughout history. Mm-hmm. One of those being Muhammad, and different family members throughout the time, and so on and so forth. And so Melchizedek isn't just a Christian thing. It's not just a Muslim thing. It's not just a Catholic thing. It's people, period. Yeah. They can be Buddhist. They could be anywhere in the world. They can be Russian. They can be Orthodox. And there's, like I said, there's thousands of them. And so they pulled out these books. Okay, so they first had to figure out who I was. Who is this founder of this organization? And then I had put one of our family members, so to speak, as the administrator on the account. Mm-hmm. I've known this person for a long time, but I don't often talk about who is who because they like to kill our people. So I just sort of keep it quiet, like I don't say anything. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of out there now, and it's going to get out there. And it's probably more safe than it ever has been, because there's no point in killing us. There's nothing to power down there anymore. There's not going to open a portal. It's not going to help you any. There's nothing left to say. So they actually matched up the pictures in the book of the man that I chose as the administrator and myself, and they couldn't believe it. The next thing they couldn't believe is that the amount that we transferred was the exact same amount that was promised in the book.
Oh, I just got the chills. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Now they're waiting for a series of events to start happening. And as these series of events start unfolding, the prophecy is happening. So because they knew the next thing that would happen would be that opening of the gate and relieving the curse from Iran, Iraq, from Persia, the Middle East, from the world, really. They knew this was going to happen. So they actually went earlier today to that particular location and tested the water to see if it was living water. Now they know it's only a matter of time before the water in the marshes expands once again, and the water in the marshes will then go through the Euphrates River. You've heard that story before. If the river dries up, it's all bad things are going to happen. Well, that won't happen now. And then as the living water fills the rivers and the seas all around the world, this particular area will be the first place to actually turn green.
Okay.
And then it will expand out from this area based on actual science. Like that's not, it's like in your body, the changes that you'll see is your cells will retain more oxygen. The planet will have more oxygen. They don't like that. Those people don't like that kind of stuff. We won't have to be so concerned about all these antioxidants constantly because, that they negatively charged water will actually cause that. It also causes things like acidity in the body. It causes your cells to rapidly deteriorate and not repair. It causes a lot of things to happen within your person. And this is how people way long time ago, in the Bible and in all these books, it talks about he was 980 years old, and this is why.
Yeah.
So without all of that interfering with your vessel, you have a better vessel, essentially. It's a very interesting story. And so then they started celebrating over there, and I didn't really understand the celebration. I'm like, okay. But then fake man, fake Jason Society person faking to be somebody else calls up there and tells them, I'm going to be your point man for the GIA and so on and so forth. And they basically told this guy where to stick it.
You're not in the book. Get away.
Yeah, you're not in the book. Get away.
Yeah.
Because they are, then they got, there was a lot of education that happened there as far as, what they're looking for, what's happening. And the scholars, I call them the scholars. I'm sure they probably have an official name, but they're like the very, very religious sect, knowledge and wisdom that they have. And the information that they have is far different than the rest of the imams and so on and so forth in the region. And they talk to them about what to expect, what to see next, what to look for next. And they're not the only ones that have those copies. Now, the other side has copies too, but it's pointless now. They used to go after us. They used to kill us all. They used to try to turn us. That was the big thing. We're going to turn her. That's be me. Remember, by June 13th, every year, we got to turn Kim. And it never happened, of course. And so the world will probably start looking at these books now and looking for the events to unfold. And I can't really put them out there at this moment. You never know what people are going to do, and they could try to do crazy things to people or places. You don't know. It's not like you're going to stop it. It's not like you can change it. But that is the reason. This is the whole reason why at least the top echelon has basically said it's over. Had nothing to do with the alignment with Uranus at all. It had to do with the fact that once that is the original source of the war on this planet.
Wow.
And that's how long it's been going on, a very long, long, long time. You know, over and over and over again, we fight. Mm-hmm. You know, we tried to achieve balance, the alternating timelines, 1,008 years here, 1,008 years there. We tried that. That didn't work. Nobody wanted to do that on their side. You know, they had 250,000 years of gaining ground on us. So we would try to establish balance every 2,000 years, and they were not having it.
Yep.
So, fine. You know, Source called the ball, said, no more. Apparently, you people are non-repairable. You know, so that was the exciting news we had over the weekend. I had a lot more to cover, but you don't want to keep this. Yeah. I don't want to make this too long because I've told a lot of stories today. There's a few other places that were tied to this where they had overlays as well. Maybe I'll go over those on Wednesday on the news if we have time. But things are moving very rapidly now. We're doing very well. The most recent place, which was this morning, was Brazil to receive their deposits. So they're in a little bit of chaos right now. Now, remember, they can't access the account. It's the same rules without permission from us. They have to be a member of CARE, which I'm sure, you know, will end up happening over time, and they will. South Africa has been a couple days ahead. They're moving along very, very rapidly there. First orders of instructions from me to the SSA, which is the intelligence agency there, is to secure the Treasury. Anybody that doesn't want to work with you, you let me know. You give me the list of names. We'll hand you their termination papers. You can walk in there, change all their codes, their keys, the doors, and lock the door.
Wow.
The next thing was Eskom. Eskom is the government-owned electric company down there that keeps cutting the power. Once secured, whether the people, you know, that administrate that on behalf of the government are with us or against us, and we don't care, you'll either be terminated or you'll join and you'll be paid. So let us know what you want to do. Either way, we're not waiting any longer. The next order of business is the water problem. A huge water problem down there. So we need to figure who's with us, who's on the take, who's poisoning the water, who's letting all of this happen, who's not fixing the infrastructure. We already have scientists down there in place that will work and have solutions for both problems. We talked about neutrino energy, and we talked about, so we will have that rectified. We should be able to begin, let's just say, as early as tomorrow. So this is very exciting. Now it's going to take time. You know, things don't get built overnight. So, you know, have a little bit of patience. I know everybody will panic, but that's kind of how things are going there. It's going extremely well. Next, you know, Iraq is pretty well ready to go. They're looking for the signs and the proof that the war is finally over and they're safe. And they're getting those signs one by one, piece by piece. This just happened on Saturday. Saturday is not a working day there, so it's not even been 48 full hours since this has all taken place. But going well. Here in the U.S., it's a holiday. It's Juneteenth. There are people that are working today. If need be, Treasury officials have offered to come in on a non-work day if need be. Word on the street is a lot of people are walking away today from the Jason Society, no longer going to take orders from Mo, Larry, and Curly, and that's a positive thing for the world, hopefully. The other word on the street is, and I have not seen it happen just yet, is the Cheyenne people are now going to work together with the other people, the 99%. They have also realized it's over.
Wow.
That nothing is going to, the war has already been won. We have won. That is the end. There it is. Sealed the deal. You want to fight God, you go right ahead. You know, have at it. You know, good luck to you. You're never going to win.
Right.
So that sounds like it's a positive movement for the U.S. Hopefully, There'll be less problems once this all takes place. It could take a few days for this to all happen. Still waiting for those papers. Everything was pretty well sorted out by the archive department yesterday. So now that it's all sorted out, then hopefully, we'll get the papers in the next 24 hours. So that's the hope. And we'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah. How do you know, Kim, which country to go to next? Like, I know this is kind of a step-by-step process.
Yeah. It's a download.
It's a download. Okay.
Yeah, I already know who's next. I'm not sure why that particular place. It's interesting, but I know where it is. Mm-hmm. And so then I've been doing them in the order I'm supposed to do them. I can do 2, 3, 4 a day. When I'm not cleaning up everything else, I can do more than that. So some days it'll be a few a day. These particular places are Brazil has been Nazi headquarters for a long time. They actually came over in World War II and, got off the boat there. There's alleged tribes in the rainforest in Brazil that have blonde hair and blue eyes, and they all look the same. It's very weird. There's a lot of experimentation that used to go on under the ground in Brazil, and it's a huge stronghold on the continent, and hence the reason why they were the chosen Latin American country to join BRICS. Yeah, South Africa was I would say, other than America, was one of the most prolific Commonwealth countries. It doesn't mean they had the most control there. They had a lot of control, but South Africa has a lot of influence in the region. So the reason why it was the first of the Commonwealth countries to go. Iraq, obvious reasons that need no explanation anymore. So, and that's kind of the world situation report at the moment.
That's an amazing world situation report.
I know.
Fantastic. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Wonder what's going to happen on Wednesday.
I know. Well, I'm waiting with bated breath.
Yeah, me too.
Good stuff. We know it's good stuff. Oh, that's just so awesome.
It is good stuff. Mm-hmm. Money is starting to move everywhere. People are starting to realize all over the world who CARE is. They wonder who's next. They now know it's not just a one-off. It's not just America. It's going around the world to all these different countries. It's not, it's not in any way, in any particular, favoritism or anything like that. It's just whoever's supposed to be next will be next.
Yeah. But word will travel fast.
It is.
It is. I'm sure it is already that this is happening. Right.
Yeah. All good things. Just keep plugging right along here.
And we have waited. we have barely waited a really long time for this.
A really long time to close that door. Yes, we did.
Yes.
So take care, Miss Sunny. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on Wednesday.
Okay. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
That wraps up our news update.